Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Britt. And I really especially like going third because I got to hear what Emily said, what Jason said, and especially with what Emily said regarding not being married to our past and what Jason said with the art belt. And you're going to hear some similarity with what I said. And then my talk is indeed on poetry, Akron, and weirdness. And thank you again to the crew for inviting me to do this. So I moved to Northeast Ohio in late 2013. Here I am with my husband, who will actually be up here speaking shortly. And this picture was taken the night we got engaged. Look at how cute and fresh-faced we were. But I can honestly say that then I knew absolutely nothing. Now, I had moved here from Detroit, which you can see displayed on some of its beautiful destruction. And I had lived there for 5 years while working on my doctoral coursework. And one thing I had not been prepared for were the differences in context between these two cities. You see, Akron struck me, and still strikes me, as having a high context culture. Akron having a high context culture from an anthropological standpoint is one that takes care of its own and caters to in-groups, an in-group being one that has similar experiences and expectations from which inferences and influences are drawn. And I also started to notice things such as the Keep Akron Weird slogan and movement. I began to notice weirdness as a particular type of hometown pride, endemic to the place where I began to proudly teach at the university and go to the symphony in footy pajamas. Yes, I actually did that. You can check my Instagram for pictures. But we didn't invent this weirdness, as you can see here. It appears we got the slogan from Portland, and sometimes Akron wants to emulate Portland. I learned that at a recent Gaines meeting. But Portland started to keep that slogan in 2003 as a way to support local businesses and business owners, but they themselves got that from Austin, as you can see. And they originated that in 2000 as a way to begin creative resistance in that city. So this is my thesis. Hometown pride is beautiful, and I was born in a mountain town where my great uncles had names like Bucket, so weirdness is beautiful too. But when do these things keep us from reaching our potential? Okay, so here you can see the Akron gods, so to speak, including the snowman. But please correct me if I'm wrong, but none of these people are snowmen or in this room. And I want the people in this room to be the next great makers of Akron. So how do we do that? So when I think of greatness, I think of Jeff Bridges. And you might know him best, as many do, from The Big Lebowski, and it's that film he's pictured from here. But he's been acting since the 50s and was first nominated from the Academy in the 70s, and Jeff Bridges will not just be one thing. He's also an accomplished artist and photographer as well as musician, and I've called him the muse of the age. And it's with that spirit that I wrote my poetry collection, Jeff Bridges, which will be published this year by Cobalt Press, and I have one of the poems for you now. It's called Jeff Bridges. You go on a water fast because you hate yourself, and Jeff Bridges laughs. Baby sister, he says, why? Remember me in Fearless? My hair was so long, and I wasn't afraid of any strawberry. I stuck my head out the window like a beagle. I yelled at God, you want to kill me, but you can't. So let it go. Let's drive our Volvo into a brick wall to make Rosie Perez feel better. Let's buy presents for the dead. To me, Jeff Bridges' particular sort of Zen is inspiring in its not being, because not being is the essence of Zen, and that we're not attached to our identity, and it allows all the messages of the universe to come in and be heard. When we're not attached to our identity, creation can happen. So what does that mean for the future of Akron? As you can see, Mayor Horgan said very recently on the release of the task force report on Akron that we are not here to protect the status quo, which I find invigorating. And thank you to Kyle Kudichief from the Knight Foundation for the source material. I also have another quote here that states, we used to have 290,000 people, we're at 199,000 today. I am convinced that we can grow again. Those of us that already live here know that Akron is a great place to live. Our challenge is to attract new residents to our city. We do this by making a great place even better, by building new housing, by rehabilitating existing buildings, by encouraging entrepreneurship and commercial redevelopment, and by using artistry and urban design to create irresistible places for people to live, work, and play. And thank you to Jason Segedy from the City of Akron for the source material. So Jason mentions entrepreneurship, and one example I want to draw your attention to is Monastum. They launched in 2015 as a fashion and design studio based here, but they seek to reach both domestic and international customers. They also embrace the principle of reductionism, which is considered an outsider aesthetic to this region. And this focus on an outsider aesthetic brings me to my conclusion. So as mentioned, having pride in where you come from can be beautiful, but it also takes courage to become yourself and not rest on what your past has dictated. Akron needs outside agitators, and here I'll cite Kierkegaard, who gave us another way to work out our own salvation. He writes, "When one person sees one thing and another sees something else in the same thing, then the one discovers what the other conceals." And when we leave here tonight and for the rest of our lives, let's challenge each other to always be adventurous and curious and receptive. So I'm going to let my time run out with a final quote from Kierkegaard and pay close attention to the final line. "Having thus imbibed all the love and absorbed himself in it, he does not lack the courage to attempt and risk everything." Thank you.